A very good day to all of you. Welcome to Listening Skills, Listening Tips number 2. In the previous video, we listened to some general listening tips of how to be a better listener, of how to sharpen your listening skills. In this video, we will be looking into the details of listening skills that would focus on how to be a good listener whenever you are taking listening tests. So in the previous video, it was the tips were quite general, but in this video we will be looking deeper into the specific listening skills that you can develop in order to sit for a listening test or listening assessment or whatever listening uh, quizzes that you have in class. So the first thing that we will have to be aware that when we talk about listening tests or listening assessment or quiz, we have to divide that task into two, which is pre-listening and then while listening. So pre-listening, there are some things that we can do that would help us during the while listening period. So before we listen to the audio, when we are given the questions for the listening for the listening test, we can use that time to prepare ourselves for the listening test. So what can we do in the pre-listening period? So in the pre-listening period, we will be given the time to review the questions. There could be 2 or 3 sections or even 4 sections in the question booklet, part A, part B, part C, or even part D. And the questions could be multiple choice, could be subjective, could be structured questions, could be fill in the blanks, could could be information transfer. So there are many different types of questions in a listening test. So what we can do first is to review the questions in the listening section before you click the play audio button if you are doing the test online, or before the audio is being played in the class. So what should we do while reviewing the questions? So take a look at the questions, and in the questions, try to understand what the questions are and what the listening audio would be based on the questions, what the listening audio would be about based just by reading the question. So try to guess, try to anticipate what you will hear from the listening audio. And from the questions, try to find the keywords in the questions. For example, if you have a question like, how old is the lady? So when you see the question, how old, you know that in the listening audio, you are looking for none other but a number, an age, 60 years old or 70 years old. So that is the keyword. From the question, you can develop the keyword, and while listening to the audio, you find the keyword. So you don't have to listen and understand everything. You listen to the things that you need to listen. So if the keyword is about age, numbers, or years, so those are the things that you will detect in the listening audio. So this will help you to use your prediction skills to guess the topics you might hear. And yeah, so we talk about finding the keywords in the questions and listen to the keywords in the audio. So that is one thing that you can do in the pre-listening period. In the while listening period, there are a lot of other things that you can do. First, you need to follow the instructions carefully. They may be different to practice or previous tests. So follow the instructions. Read the question first. Read the instruction first before you read the questions. Listen for the specific information that you want based on the keyword that we talked about just now. Try to anticipate what the speaker will say. This will require concentration. So that means during the listening test, you cannot do other thing but just a full concentration on the listening audio, because you won't be listening to the audio many times, maximum perhaps 2 times. So you'll have to pay full concentration. You miss the information in the first round of the audio, you just have one other round left, so that might be not enough for you. If your listening skills are not that good, you are not able to understand every single word in the audio, so that is not helping. Do not worry if there is a word you do not understand. You may not need to use it. So it is not everything in the audio that you need. Just the one that you need as an answer to the questions in the question booklet. However, if you do not know the answer to a question, attempt it, that means answer the question, try to answer the question, but do not waste time. Move quickly on to the next one. So just put an answer there. It's better to have an answer in the answer section than no answer at all. So do not leave it blank. Make sure you have an answer. Of course, be careful with your spelling and grammar. Those are very important. Do not panic if you think the topic is too difficult or the speaker is too fast. You must relax and tune in. So when we talk about listening tests, there would be different types of audios with different types of Englishes accents. We could have African accents, African English, Italian English, Spanish English, Malaysian English, Singaporean English, Indian English. So there will be British English, Australian English. So there will be different Englishes. There could be different accents being used in the audio. So you will have to face that in a listening test. But do not panic, and if the speaker speaks too fast, just relax and try to listen the best you can. Another important thing that you can do is that while listening, you read the question, you write the points that you think would be useful from the listening audio while you are listening at the same time. So that is one way for you not to miss the points mentioned in the listening audio. Focus precisely on what you are asked to do in completion type questions. So if you have to complete something in the question, fill in the blanks, for example, focus precisely on that. Pay attention to the word limit. There are some questions maybe in a listening section where the instruction says answer the questions with no more than 3 words, or answer the questions with no more than 5 words. So if you have that kind of instruction, be careful, follow the instruction. So if you have more than 3 words or 2 words or 5 words that are required, then your answer would be incorrect, or you'll get half mark maybe. Another thing that is very important is, of course, attempt all questions. There are no penalties for incorrect answers. If your answer is wrong, then it is wrong. There will be no penalties. So make sure you have answers for each blank for all questions. And finally, check your answers. Go through your answers once again before you submit your test to your lecturer. Thank you. I think that's all for the tips, for the listening tips. That should be enough for you to know how to improve your listening skills and for you to be able to do a listening test, um, to do a listening test well. But please remember that language is about practice. The more you practice, the better you'll be. Thank you very much. See you in the next module.